Okay, we have a couple of people who want to talk. Oh, this is a good one. Let's do this. This is perfect for you, Kelley. We have Helen calling in from Florida. Helen,
no.
you're live on Truth Wanted. You know this? You know Helen?
I know Helen. Hi.
How come you know all these callers tonight, Kelley? What the heck? Hello, Helen. You're live. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing good.
I'm doing great, Helen. How are you? You may know Helen. She has been on. She's been on
good.
Secular Sexuality and on Nonprofits. Helen Green.
Oh, Helen Green. Okay, yeah. So Helen, you want to talk about? You want to consult Kelley's expertise. For those of you who don't know, Kelley is a rock shop owner. He's a rock enthusiast. He's written about rocks. Mm-hmm. And you rock, Kelley. You're a rock guy.
Well, thanks.
So you want to ask about crystals and quote woo shit. Is that right, Helen?
Oh goodness.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, what do you want to know?
Where should we start?
So Kelley and I have gotten into this conversation before because I was into woo-woo shit and he was into woo-woo shit. So I wanted him to talk a little bit more about how he got into the woo-woo stuff, and especially did you find any truth in anything people were selling you back then?
Oh yeah, I totally found truth in it, and I'm gonna have a hard time admitting this, but I kind of got into the belief because of a woman. So
damn, dude.
Yeah, I know.
It's the crystal mommies.
It's
the crystal mommies, dude. They're all over TikTok. I know what you mean.
And even worse than that, I married her. So it got even, it really got thick after a while. But as we were experimenting, or as I was experimenting with friends who were having these ailments and giving them stones that that were supposed to cure these ailments that they had, and nobody was getting better. And that's when I started realizing maybe there's really not much to this. But I totally got into it. I got into it because I wanted to believe it. I really wanted it to be real. And what I ended up doing, and a lot of people get indoctrinated into like theist beliefs when they're children because they're just exposed to it and overexposed to it. And I indoctrinated myself because I wanted to believe it. And it was actually a little bit harder for me to get out of it because I put myself there. And I don't know if you experienced the same thing, Helen, but I had a harder time getting out of woo than I did out of Christianity.
Interesting. Helen, what do you think? Go ahead.
Yeah, that was the same for me. It is harder because, like I always say, like the religion is the easy part to leave behind, is the magical thinking that takes longer. And you, like with the woo-woo stuff, you feel like you're choosing something, and it feels like it's more active, but it's just you replace one set of silly rules for another set of silly rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
that's kind of the way I look at it.
I had a dad who was really into geology when I was younger, and so I got to learn a lot about rocks and a lot about the history and stuff. And I'm thankful for that because, I could see another way where I could look at these pretty rocks and be like, well, there must be something special about it. I mean, it's
right.
shiny looking,
Right. And there was a few books that came out. A couple of books came out in the late '80s, early '90s. The Tao of Physics and the Dancing Waloo Masters. And they were trying to reconcile modern quantum physics with Eastern mysticism. Okay. And they did a really good job of it, right? I mean, it was all bullshit, right?
Wait, so why did they do a good job of it?
Because they made it sound reasonable, right?
Yeah,
and logical and rational.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And here I am, I'm a budding young person. I really want to learn more about science, and I'm reading this. I don't really understand quantum physics, and all of a sudden I'm really believing this as if it was real, and that really helped draw me in too, because I really thought I was being scientific about it.
Wow. So those are the books that talk about the lattices of the crystal structures have.
Well, they talk about things like thought being able to manipulate the world around you.
Okay.
Because of the quantum nature of
geometry and that's
sacred geometry. There you go. Yep.
So it's just like The Secret, except for rocks.
Yeah.
It always goes back to The Secret. I don't know what it is.
It's not so much about rocks. It was just the idea, and then the rocks kind of. It was the idea that you could manipulate things with your mind. And then a lot of people had the idea that you could use these crystals to amplify this manipulation.
Oh, wow. Man, I mean, if I could do that, that would be rad.
That's why I wanted it to be true. Wouldn't that be cool if you could actually manipulate the world just with a crystal? Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be cool.
That's even better than prayer.
So, Helen, you were a woo-woo believer, but now you're not anymore. Is that right? Is that how you would describe yourself?
Yeah. I was in paganism for 13 years, and I was actually a high priestess in paganism at the time. So, yeah.
So, man.
Yeah, and I've been out of religion for like 4 or 5 years now.
Did you want to admit on the air that you were high?
Kelley, what are you saying, man? Why are you calling people out like this, dude? Come on.
I was just making sure. She's the one that said it.
Damn. First of all, if I was high and you said that to me while I was talking to you, that would freak me out. I'd be like, what are you doing? You're exposing me on the internet. But
He's reading my mind.
Helen and I are good friends. So.
I get that. I get that, Johnny. But okay, so you, for 13 years, that's a long time. Can you tell me like a little bit about how you kind of deconstructed those beliefs?
It was really interesting because I don't know what happened because I was never like when I got into paganism, that was kind of the beginning of the deconstruction because I actually, and this is during that time too, I went to college and started studying psychology. So I was still trying to hold on to this idea that even though I had left religion, that there was something in like universal energy or a collective unconsciousness, we're all connected to you or some other woo-woo thing I was reading about at the time. And I think what happened is that as I got older and my life became more stable and I started becoming more skeptical, I started watching more scientific and skeptical content online. My husband's always been more scientifically minded than me. And I just started slowly like asking myself, I'm like, do I have justification to believe this anymore? And then once I realized how the human brain will trick itself and how indoctrination works and how magical thinking works. After that, I was like, oh, fuck. I'm like, I've been doing this to myself my whole life. And now I've just learned to kind of question myself more, and be more skeptical, which is something I thought I had learned growing up with my dad being a very science-minded person, but I didn't realize because of that indoctrination in the church that even though it wasn't part of the household on a regular basis, how much that did affect my thinking and wanting, something more. It's a really strange journey when I look back on it now.
When you say indoctrination in the church, which church are you referring to? You talking about the Christian church or the...
I was raised Catholic.
Okay. So you think your Catholic upbringing actually influenced your paganism in the sense that it influenced your religious thinking?
Oh yeah, because also too, like a lot of elements from the Catholic Church come from old paganism beliefs in Rome and other sort of and the Greeks and that European culture at the time, and so a lot with if you go to Mass, it's a lot of really interesting parallels with incense and water and calling the spirits and all this sort of stuff. That is a very easy jump into paganism. And you're just replacing with different deities and different rules. That the whole pageantry is very attractive, especially to people that have been in religions and then they move to paganism. They'll take that need for performance and drama with them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me because I didn't grow up Catholic, but there is a focus in Catholicism on the aesthetic of the worship tradition, right? Like Mass is supposed to go a certain way. There's people playing roles, and there's like this, this ongoing tradition that happens. Yeah, there's uniforms. There's a clear hierarchy, like what's supposed to be going on. I mean, from what I see from paganism and from the folks I know that are into that, I mean, they are also similarly into the aesthetic of it. I think that's what draws a lot, if not the theology of it, then the aesthetic of
I went to some really cool pagan rituals during my pagan phase.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. But I mean, that's so funny because again, like, what does Christianity do? It says, oh, you don't want to be a pagan. Like, what if not, but to exterminate pagans for most of history, right? Is kind of been the goal, and then to have that influence of Christianity like inform your paganism is very interesting to me. But it totally makes sense.
It's really hard to abolish paganism because pagans throw better parties.
Yeah. You know what? I don't disagree with that. That's very true. Well, Helen, thanks so much for sharing your story with me a little bit there, because that's really interesting. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
Thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to call and support Kelley and let him know that I love him. And he was one of my first friends at the ACD, and if it wasn't for him and all of the warmth and generosity he showed me, I probably wouldn't have got involved with the ACA. So, and RFR. So, I just wanted to show my appreciation for my friend.
I love you too, Helen.
Oh, that's so nice. Helen, thanks so much for calling in, and thank you for showing your support for Kelley. And you're right. Kelley is a great volunteer for the atheist community of Austin. He does a lot of stuff behind the scenes. He also does some stuff on the atheist community of Austin Discord, ACD, which is a fan-run Discord server, which we try to do some after-show stuff. We're going to hopefully do some more of in the future. But yeah, thanks for your help, Kelley. I'm glad you're here with me tonight.
Thanks for letting me help.
Of course.
Thanks everybody for letting me help.
No, thank you.